Hi, Chris here from Truly Holistic for an updates video for late November, and some really interesting things happening here at Truly Holistic, which I want to share with you, and very much based on Ascension. And as we know, Ascension's a cyclic phenomena, and we've been part of other Ascensions before, or let's say failed Ascensions. Okay, and when we talk about Ascension, we're talking about regaining control. Okay, we live in a reality that's very limited to what our capabilities are, our true capabilities are, and that's done on purpose, okay, by the consciousnesses that have created this imprisoned reality or simulation that we have been part of for a very, very long time, many lifetimes, okay, and some of these lifetimes have been part of an ascension, okay, and as I say, it's a cyclic phenomena. So there's been a number of ascensions which we haven't ended up getting the result that we wanted to escape from this matrix reality. So let's jump straight into that. Is that for the first time in my dowsing, it came up with the word human ascension. Okay, anybody that's followed my videos will understand that human is just an encoded form within this computer simulation. Okay, there's no human outside of that. Okay, so and then there's an ascension based outside of this reality. Okay, so as I say, if we want to escape this matrix reality, we need to ascend out of it. Okay, go back to source. Okay, and what we see also with people that have passed away within this reality shed this human form off, the skin of a human being off, that their soul, okay, which is a recycled mechanism, is used to go towards creating another reincarnation by the consciousness that created this construction. Okay, they want us to stay here so we continue farming loosh or fear energy for them, the energy that sustains them, okay, while we suffer for it. Okay, so what I've found with clients that have had spirits that have been coming to them for a particular reason because they are trapped within this reality. They want to go back to source, okay, which is what Ascension is all about. The true Ascension is about connecting back to your true self, and that's going back to source. That's what Ascension means, is reawakening yourself, gaining the potential and the powers and the multidimensional aspects of yourself again, okay? So what we did in those circumstances for those souls or spirits that were trapped, we just made the intent to connect them back up to source, and lo and behold, they went. And what happens is when they connect back to source, they have full control of where they want to go next, how they want to reincarnate, what they want to do next, instead of being trapped within this matrix reality, getting their memory wiped from their previous life and being put into another incarnation, not knowing, starting from scratch, not knowing who they are and what they need to do. Okay? So that's really the difference I'm seeing with source and soul. Soul is just a recycled mechanism within this matrix reality. Nothing beyond that. Okay? So essentially we're getting two ascensions here that I'm starting to get in my dowsing. The human one, and then the true ascension connecting back to source. Okay? So this was interesting. An ascension for human beings, okay? A program within the simulated reality, because that's what a human being is. It's a program. So what that means is disclosure of information, okay? People like Corey Good, David Wilcock, what they're talking about is this big event of a human consciousness, of everyone coming together, everyone getting along, disclosure of information that's been kind of prevented from us understanding and knowing about, okay? So there's that level of consciousness, but there's a greater consciousness that always does happen in regards to your source lineage, where you go up the ladder, so to speak, in regards to new information and being a greater consciousness. Okay, so that was very interesting. Now, when I talk about previous ascensions that we've had, they've been failed ascensions because we haven't been able to break out of um, this reality of the matrix and gaining our control within this matrix as well as a human being, let's say. So, um, what has happened there is the consciousness of humanity has been rerouted, okay, by the consciousness that has created the simulation for us to be housed in it, to be limited, okay. Um, Now, for people that have come and done clearings sessions here at Truly Holistic will know about me talking about the cosmic sun disk. Now, the cosmic sun disk, very interesting. Now, the cosmic sun disk is our sun, okay? When we look up the sky, and your sun, I should be saying it as, that's your source, okay? When we look at the sun in the sky, we see it as a disk, don't we? Which is a 2D form, it's a circle, okay? And when we look at it in a 3D form, it's a sphere, okay? And so on and so on. They're levels of existence or planes of existence, and we'll see different geometries due to that, okay? That's a very powerful clearing, is the cosmic sun disk, and we're actually finding out more and more about it, okay? And the realignment of many cosmic sun disks coming into phase to allow us to, on the right route to the true ascension, to a successful ascension, instead of a failed one or a rerouted one. So it's probably all I can say in regards to that at the moment. It's like an alignment. But there'll be more information coming up in regards to that. Here at Truly Holistic, we use that intent of the cosmic sun disk to recalibrate you so you're more connected with Source. Okay? Source, as I say, is that ascension that's going to happen anyway. It's evolving itself, and we need to keep up with it. Okay? To evolve with it. Okay? That's why we're getting so many people talking about ascension symptoms, is because the frequencies are shifting and changing so much with Source, okay, with our sun, that we need to keep up with it. Otherwise, these calibrations, we're not going to calibrate these new frequencies, and it creates a conflict, or I guess we could call a adverse effect, a bit like an autoimmune condition or autoimmune problem, where part of the body kind of attacks itself and you get all these symptoms. Now, that's a conflicting issue. In regards to autoimmune condition or autoimmune problem, it's a conflict between your consciousness and another consciousness that have different views on how that body part will function. Okay? One wants to create suffering, and then your immune system, your white blood cells, your bacteria, your friendly bacteria, which are very source connected, are being rerouted and redirected to work in a different way, where your body ends up attacking itself. It's a consciousness problem. So, very interesting things happening at the moment in regards to Ascension. Now, and the thing that we've been really looking at the moment is backups and stores. Okay, and I'll explain what that means. Now, backups is exactly like what we do on a computer. We back up data or storage on our computer, right? Over time. At that moment in time, it backs up all the data, all the information that's on your computer at the time. So if something goes wrong, then we can just go back to that data and we can renew or start something again. Now, these are backups and stores of data of information of all your lifetimes. So, for example, your human form for that lifetime expires, so it dies. Then the consciousness that recycles you, your soul, which is also your DNA, okay, that's your template, your coding of you from one lifetime into another. The backups or stores of your previous lifetime are used to create or renew you into another incarnation, okay? So it's exactly the same way as our computer system. Collective consciousness is the same way as our network or our internet works in regards to a computer. They're all the same way. So what we're doing is we're working on, for example, you have an issue in your eye or your visual system. And not only are we working on your eye or visual system within this lifetime, we go into the backups and the stores of energy of what make up your I from one lifetime to the next, because it's used regularly. Now, what we find is that that store or that backup, that energy supply for that I that makes up your I, that encoded form or physical form of your I, may have foreign or rogue or parasitic consciousness connected to it, which is siphoning the energy of that area, which then manifests into that I degenerating in this reality. Okay? Now, I kind of look at it, they're like shareholders of the energy of what happens in the eye. So that if that eye is struggling in this lifetime, it's suffering, it creates fear energy, it creates loose energy, which that consciousness then siphons for their own sustenance. Okay? This is the world that we live in. This form here is a vessel, okay, for storage of energy. And if we're going by life, the mainstream model way of living life, where we're fear sustained most of the time, we are just feeding this consciousness that hold us into this matrix reality. Okay, so we're working at that level at this point in time, and that these stores of energy or backups of energy are backups and stores of energy within this computer simulation, or what we call this earth or matrix reality that we live in. Wow, eh? So this may include backups or stores that went back to failed or previous ascensions. So we work on clearing all that up. And while we clear all that up, we're also working on removing karma. And these are the lessons that we need to learn to then understand the power of our intent, the power of our manifestation, which we will need to ascend. Okay? Using it in the right manner, not being hoodwinked to use it to create more fear, but to use it to create the power that we've always had. Okay? So ascensions are reawakening or revisiting phenomena where we realize how powerful we are. Okay? Now, a colleague of mine, or a mentor, I should say, of mine, Chris Kaler, has been using ruthenium, which is kind of an element that he got through his dowsing. You won't find it on Google or part of the periodic table of the elements that we currently have. Because as I say, if we go into different dimensions or densities, planes of existence, everything is it's a new game. It's a completely different game as we go into a different plane of existence. Physics, we can throw the old ways out of the window, science out of the window, everything out of the window. We have to have an open mind and look at things in a completely different way. Okay, now ruthenium was the fuel or the element that we placed into backups or stores of areas of our body when we were in the fifth density, but the sixth density is now open to us. So we're going into another level of existence, okay, which is getting us into a place where we reawaken aspects of ourselves, or a place where we once were. We're not going into levels or planes of existence where we've never been. We're going into planes of existence where we are becoming more of our true self, if you understand that. So the fuel for the sixth density is thorium, Torrium. Again, you won't find that anywhere. So what we're doing is we're using this fuel to fuel your backups, your stores of your energy. And another name for thorium is the Force, okay, which is, funnily enough, very correlated to Star Wars, okay? Very interesting, because what it does, this thorium, it makes you more intuitive, your consciousness greater. And when we look at what a Jedi is, the symbolism of a Jedi in Star Wars is being one with the Force, okay? It's being one with Source, Force Source, having greater intuitive capabilities, consciousness capabilities, reawakening your true self in your power, okay? So what we've already said is, you know, that DNA is source, okay? It's the coding from one lifetime into a next, all your lifetimes. It's a recycling mechanism, which is called the soul, okay? The third eye seems to be the channel from energy from one life into lifetime into a next time. I've found source equals ascension, and ascension equals source, because ascension is all about going back to source, regaining the power that you've always had, the multidimensional aspect of you. RNA, on the meantime, is the essence of source, because the RNA is only connected to one lifetime, your present current lifetime, And hence, the essence of source is always based around about being present. Okay, and that's why meditation and all those sorts of things are so important, because it places you in the now, into the present, because it allows more awareness and more consciousness. You remove yourselves from the programming of time, okay, which is time is a matrix program. Outside of that, there's no time, okay? So RNA is very important. We're working more on the RNA as we've been doing sessions lately. We've been getting into using the Infinity Stones, which was something I used a wee while ago. And again, that's connected to the Avengers and Thanos, okay? A lot of the negative castings that have been laid upon us are lifting off, okay? And this is consciousness of other beings, that parasitic beings that feed off our energy. Now, this is allowing us to be bestowed with those conceptual energies that we're always supposed to have had. The ability to heal, the ability to be connected to source all the time, to be infinite, okay? Because outside this reality, we're infinite. And to build our own reality through our own intent and manifestation, okay? Now, when we look at the Avengers film, and we have Thanos with the glove where he's got all the Infinity Stones, which has got a lot of these powers, like Time Stone, Mind Stone, Space Stone, all these abilities, Reality Stone, is that with a flick of that and his intent of what he wants to do, intent becomes a manifestation immediately. It doesn't matter what level, a multitude of universe level, what you're just doing in the day. So there's the correlative relevance there. All these movies are just drips of disclosure of what's actually happening out there outside of this matrix reality, if you don't know that already. Now, so that means your casting potential, which means your intent potential, is going to be heightened, and we need that for ascension, especially if we want to do that as a human ascension. We need more of that, because we need more of the human consciousness to have this potential and to know and be aware and conscious that they do have this power and potential to do this, okay? Other things that we've been working on is working on addiction, okay? And we've been making really inroads in regards to that, because we're looking at every substance, everything that is in this reality is connected to a consciousness. If it wasn't, it wouldn't be here. So when we look at, say, an addiction to cigarettes or smokes, there'll be a consciousness behind that they'll be latching onto certain areas of you that allows you to crave or be addicted to that substance. So we just need to find out where we remove that. Same thing with pharmaceutical medication. Say if you're addicted to benzodiazepines or opioids, again, there'll be a consciousness behind those medications because they're parasitic. They're there to feed off your energy. You may get a quick dopamine fix, but there's a big downfall to that to you, because that consciousness will feed off your energy and lower your vibration. Okay, so we're looking at that in regards to it. It's all about parasitic consciousness feeding on this vessel, which we call a human body. Now, Cubit measures. I've been getting questions a lot from people saying, what's happened to your RNA or telomere Cubit rings that I sell on my website? Now, just to quickly explain, a Cubit measure is an anchor, a physical anchor of frequencies from a higher level or density or dimension, bringing it into this reality, into a physical form, so therefore we can use it as training wheels to get us to ascension. Now, so they're always going to change depending on what the vibrations and frequencies are coming in and what we need at the time. So I was told that the RNA and telomere Cubit was not valid, not as valid now anymore. Doesn't mean they don't work. They do work. They still restructure food, they restructure water, restructure or activate telomeres. The RNA component of it still does all that. But we're getting new qubits coming in, and currently the qubit that has kind of been upgraded from the RNA and telomere qubit is called the activation qubit. Okay, because we need to activate more of your body from dormant a state to a more active state, so it can absorb and calibrate the sun or the source's vibration and frequencies, which is going to allow you to ascend, okay? That's what I've been told to do. Currently, we're getting a new qubit coming in, Okay, we've already got it in, which I'm calling it the Ascension Cubit, but not everybody's going to be compatible to it right now. Okay, you may still need to be using the activation Cubit measure. So if you're interested in something of that, there's going to be tools that are going to be with the Ascension Cubit. I'm going to be bringing forth. Keep an eye out for those. But you may need to ask me to dowse to make sure they're compatible for you first, before you spare your hard-earned money in regards to that Cubit measure or that tool. So anyway, I hope you really enjoyed this video. It got a bit lengthy after a while. I do try and keep the time down for these, but I tell you, there's so much information coming through, and I love to use the time to explain and give greater understanding of what's happening as well, because it allows more awareness and more consciousness. Is about understanding why things work. So anyway, if you have any questions, post below. If you want to book an appointment, go to trulyholistic.net and go to my product store where I've got many tools and little devices you can use that's just going to help your journey, your progress to ascension and creating this thing to be successful instead of being another failed ascension and us being trapped here. So I hope you join me in regards to creating this phenomena. But until next time, bye.